Hello all, J.E. Mueller here with Book 5 of the first round of the Indie Sci-Fi Fantasy Author Battle books I have. And let's get into this. This has been an intriguing first round for the first ever Indie Sci-Fi Fantasy Author Battle, and wow, what a collection of first round books I had to read. So, getting into this, the book I had to read was called War of the God Queen. And, well, let's show you the cover. So, the cover here is, it is there. It's very there. You can obviously see the more fantasy elements, the tentacle monster, people fighting with spears, so it really does look badly photoshopped. There's no two ways around it. Since that is the cover submitted to this contest, that is the one I'm judging off of. I have seen that there is an updated cover, and thankfully that one is a lot better, but the one I was given is that. So, jumping in, this is a very Cthulhu-esque sort of fantasy book. So, the main character, who the name gets changed due to cultural stuff, her name is actually Jessica. They call her Yeska or something similar to that. She is grabbed, sort of, falls through this giant rift that Cthulhu creates into the past. And from there, that's where the story begins. She finds out she's in the very distant past, believes sometime to be in the BC era. Christ is referenced a fair bit in that, so it's presumed that despite Cthulhu and fantasy, that this character is somewhat religious, so it all felt a little awkward there, but the premise is actually pretty intriguing, with Cthulhu trying to kidnap and steal women and use them to grow their spawn, which, yeah, you can just imagine how that all was handled. It was something. So, Cthulhu doesn't actually appear in this book. The main character and the people she works with don't encounter him at all, or it at all, or them at all, however you want to refer to Cthulhu. It's just these spawn creatures, these little... The imagery I got from it is they're kind of like little blobs with tentacles. And they get bigger and they kind of change forms, but not really over time. So, the spawn cannot be killed with weapons. They're just kind of, these mindless blobs with tentacles. You can stab at them, you can hack them off, they're gonna regrow those limbs, no big deal. You beat them to a pulp, they kind of turn into a little mush for a bit, and then they pop back up ready to devour you. The only way to kill them is to beat them to this mash pulp and then say an incantation that invokes magic to actually banish them back, which is pretty cool. But it's never really explained or delved into. From what it seems like, anyone can actually use this incantation. It's just hard. But the nomadic culture of warriors, despite being warriors, doesn't want to learn it because that's somehow a woman's job. It really doesn't make any sense why everyone wouldn't want to have that, especially so they could have the killing blow, because that's what this culture really values, is destroy, 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 hunt, hunt, hunt. And yet they refuse to do that. A lot of the things doesn't make sense. None of the characters are gripping. They're all very one-dimensional. If you're lucky, there's a lot of stereotyping, a lot of badly chosen language. severe historical inaccuracies. My favorite is the main character is from the early 1900s, and she's referencing Skittles that did not exist for like 50, 60, 70 years later. Is like ridiculous. Like, come on, put a little effort into this. There is no two ways about it. If you are referencing historical stuff and not making it a complete make-believe world, you gotta do your research. So that really kept pulling me out, and there's only really 3 personalities in this book. They're all shown to you. They're all told to you. They're like, oh, this character is like this, but it's never shown. Oh, hey, this character does this, but it's also not ever shown. So you get your single-minded goal characters, you get the sinfully corrupt characters, and you get the characters that just do as they're told no matter what, because they have no mind or no brain of their own. It's really dull. Most of this book could have been cut and you would have lost zero context. Nothing really pulls you in. The world building is all told and rather pointless. It's just, I really wanted to love this. This book had one of the best prologues I have read in a long time. It was super gripping, well done, and then it just immediately goes downhill from there. The ending was very, you saw it coming from 6 miles away. The way everything was structured and set up, you knew what was going to happen. There was only one way for things to go. And when it did, it was just kind of like, well, that's done. Not satisfied, not disappointing, just very there. Like, cool. Sun rises, sun falls, the wind dries the rain. I don't even really know what to say about this book. It's just overly repetitively told. All the telling just kind of pulls you out of it. There's no real world building. There's no real character building. This thankfully has an antagonist. The Spawn are obviously the super bad guys here, compared to the last book I read that had no antagonist at all. And it just, a lot of this book needs to be gutted. There's historical inaccuracies that need to be fixed. Beta readers would help. A developmental editor would really help. Having all the scenes cut back, actually grown the right way, having things shown versus told, and actually having characters that are characters. Show me personalities. I don't want to hear that XYZ person is like this. Show me the day-to-day. Like, there's supposed to be this whole band of goddess handmaidens, and you hear about 2 of them regularly and maybe 3 or 4 others, and that's it. It's like, why did you even create all of these characters if you weren't going to do anything with them? It's very, I've noticed it a lot more, especially with authors wanting to be the next, like George R.R. Martin, having this huge cast of characters, which is awesome. I love following huge casts. I love getting into their heads, seeing how they see the world, seeing how they advance the plot, and not everyone can do it, and that's okay. I can't write that many characters. It's complicated as heck. I have a high respect for people who can pull it off well. I am unsure how to rate this book. I've gone back and forth a lot on it because it is better written than a lot of the other ones I've read so far for this contest, but it's also very there. I definitely think it's probably the second best book I've read at this contest, which isn't that great to say. So maybe a 2, maybe a 2.5. There's just some things you can't look past. Like, this was edited nicely. There was very few problems that I noticed as I was reading, and none of the editing problems actually pulled me out of the book. I was just like, oh, hey, I noticed that as I was going along. Yeah, but the historical inaccuracies, the one-dimensional characters, the book just went on and on and on forever, and it's okay to write short books. This one could have been a lot better if it was just more to the point, but instead it's somewhere near 400 pages, somewhere around there. And honestly, you could have cut half the book out and not have lost any of the context. So, maybe a 2. Sorry, author. There's not much more I can say. My written review goes a little more in depth, but I'm gonna let y'all go. This ends round 1 of my 5 books for the indie sci-fi fantasy author battles, and we will see how round 2 goes. Bye.